The Slender Man is the undisputed horror icon of the internet age. Created in a pair of captioned images by forum user Victor Surge, real name Eric Knudsen, the character took off like wildfire within the thread and soon inspired legions of fan art, stories, and blog posts. The release of the 2018 theatrical Slender Man movie suddenly put the internet's most notorious monster in front of a whole new audience. But do you know everything there is to know about the creepy guy in a snappy tie?
It's a nice tux.
I know. It belonged to my grandfather. He was buried in it, so family heirloom.
No, not that creepy guy. Here are all the secrets the Slender Man has to offer. The Big Five. One of the interesting aspects of the Slender Man is that his mythos grew across several different fan works, all inspired by the original images from the Something Awful post by Victor Surge. The first and arguably most influential of these was Marble Hornets, a long-running YouTube series about a film student who finds himself haunted by visions of a long, faceless man in a black suit. Marble Hornets ran for many installments across multiple YouTube channels and a Twitter account. The second most popular Slendy series is Tribe 12, and rounding out the big three video series is Everyman Hybrid, which also introduces some other spooky details into the mix. These three series, plus others such as Dark Harvest and ML Anderson channels, have been the primary driving forces behind what people know about the Slender Man and how he acts and operates. Slender skills. Despite being developed by a whole host of separate creative sources, a sort of consensus has gradually emerged about the Slender Man and what his powers are. Most of the time, he uses his mystical power of lurking. The major source of scares in early installments of Marble Hornets and Everyman Hybrid is slowly realizing a faceless head is staring at you from the background. As such, Slendy is thought to have a form of teleportation called slender walking, as well as camouflage, which lets him stay blurry until it's time for the jump scare noises. More impressively, he has the ability to control minds to instill victims with a kind of slender sickness that can cause coughing and blackouts, and the ability to control fire. Because why not?
Now picture that, but everywhere.
Finally, one of the more striking elements is the big old mess of tentacles the Slender Man is frequently given in artwork, but rarely in any of the video series. Probably because nobody has the budget to give him squid arms. Raked aside. While the Slender Man is far and away the king of internet creepiness, there are a number of other crowdsourced horror characters and stories called creepypasta that have crossed over into Slendy's world. One such character is the Rake. In the original story, the Rake is a frightening but vaguely humanoid figure who's usually encountered by people who wake up in the middle of the night and find him sitting on their beds. Sleep tight with that thought in your head. The Rake got dragged into the Slender Man mythos via Everyman Hybrid. There, it makes a number of appearances. However, despite its popularity among creepypasta fans, the Rake has a long, steep hill to climb if it wants to topple the Slender Man. Japan did it first. While the Slender Man has certainly inspired no shortage of imitators, in the case of the Japanese creature known as the Kune Kune, Slendy was beaten to the punch in almost every conceivable way. In his look, in his MO, and in his internet-based origin. The Kune Kune stories began appearing in 2003 and was described as a scarecrow-like being who appears out in rice fields as a long, slender figure with a white head and wispy tendrils in the wind. According to stories, those who look at the Kune Kune too long go insane, and those who try to touch it will die on the spot. So, if you happen to pass by a Japanese rice field and see a scarecrow coming toward you, just ignore it. Slender slaves. One of the most pervasive elements of the contemporary Slender Man mythos is that of proxies, who are basically mentally controlled slaves of the Slender Man. Proxies are especially prominent in the series Tribe 12, which features a sizable group of proxies known as the Collective. Of these, the most notable is the Observer, who frequently communicates with the main character of that series. Across the wide expanse of Slender Man blogs, there was a period in which proxies were a very common trope, to such an extent that some stories featured entire hordes of mindless slaves chasing after an intended victim. Basically, they were just turned into zombies, for better or worse. creepy cameos. Anything that turns into an online sensation is inevitably going to make its way into pop culture, and Slender Man is no different. A notable example is the Enderman, a dangerous creature in the world of Minecraft. They are long and lanky and become dangerous when you look at them. A pony version of the Slender Man appeared in the background of a Season 4 episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic called Pinky Apple Pie, which... okay. Also in 2014, an episode of Law & Order SVU told the story of the Glasgow Man's Wrath, in which the Slender Man was reimagined as the Glasgow Man for some reason. You'd think an appearance on Law & Order would be enough to kill a youth culture trend, but you can't keep a good Slender Man down.